Hello, everyone, and welcome to Edgewood Learning Center's June 2021 Lunch and Learn. I'm Greg Biggs, Director Advancement here with Edgewood Center for Children and Families, and we're so glad that you're here. As we move forward from more than a year and a half of the global pandemic and see its lasting impact on mental health, today's Lunch and Learn could not be more timely. Since 1851, Edgewood has been here for the Bay Area's most vulnerable families, and we have risen to the challenge to provide new and innovative ways during a time of distancing and shelter in place. Throughout this time, we have continued to provide in-person services through our residential and acute intensive services at our Vicente Street campus in San Francisco, including our 24/7 crisis stabilization unit that has been essential at a time when so many youth are struggling. As we'll hear from our WRAP team today, other programs have been using telehealth and hybrid approaches in order to continue serving our community-based and out-service clients. At the same time, last year we relaunched the Edgewood Institute, which documents our best practices, provides training for our staff and peer agency staff, and helps widen our impact. This month, we are providing training to the staff of the Department of Children, Youth, and Families Summer Together program, who are serving over 20,000 youth from the San Francisco Unified School District. Before I introduce our panel, we would first like to get to know all of you. I know that some of you have a long connection with Edgewood, and some of you are here for the first time. So in the chat function, if you could please give your full name, use your organization, or how you're connected to Edgewood, and the best piece of advice you've ever been given. So it's now my pleasure to introduce our panel. Our moderators are Chris Chase and Rebecca Edwards, and they are the co-founders of the mission. With over 40 years of combined leadership experience as ministers in the Episcopal Church, including youth ministry and church planning, they were inspired to build a new community where people of all backgrounds work together to support and empower youth. William Billy Brenner is a licensed social worker. He has worked in social services since 2001. Billy has served clients in a variety of settings throughout the San Francisco Bay Area region, from supporting homeless families at Homeward Bound of Marin, to working with patients at Sequoia Hospital in the psychiatric inpatient subacute units, and has also supported foster youth and foster families at A Better Way. For the last 13 and a half years, Billy has worked with Edgewood Center in San Mateo County and currently serves as a program manager for the Turning Point CY Wraparound team. Our other program speaker, Zachary Brothers, is Edgewood WRAP program manager and has been with Edgewood for the past 12 years. With over 15 years specializing in community-based mental health services, he has been responsible for the development of our WRAP program in the San Francisco region inception. Zach has a strong passion for strengthening within the community and environments which they live. Please join me in welcoming our panelists.
Hello, everyone, and hello, Billy and Zach. Great to see you again. And just wondered if we could begin the conversation perhaps at the beginning. Could you take some time and just explain what are WRAP services, what's involved in WRAP services? And I think in our conversation we once had, you explained to us that what WRAP services look like in San Francisco can sometimes be a little different than WRAP services and what they look like in San Mateo County. So maybe takes some time to speak about the difference between your two offerings. Please.
Billy, do you want to start? Would you like me to start?
I'll hand it off to you, sir.
All right. So WRAP services are the most intensive community-based services available. And essentially is why we're being referred and implemented as a service to a youth and families, because the youth is at risk of higher level of care. So we're there to really stabilize their placement in a home-like setting. And that can be foster parents, kinship, biological parents. It's a wide range of how that may look. And kids could be at risk of either entering a higher level of care or stepping down from a higher level of care back into community setting. I think wrap services are extremely difficult to explain because it's individualized services. It's tailored to the family. It's really based off of the needs that the family identifies. We really, one of the core principles of wrap services is family voice and choice. So as we're kind of getting to know a family, walking into the home for the first time, we're really trying to get a sense of what they feel like their needs are, what they feel like their strengths are, and how we can build off of those strengths and create that sustainability and that stability in the home and in the community. So individualized to each client, we serve clients for 12 to 18 months. And in San Francisco, we're serving clients anywhere from 5 to 21 years old. We have two different main positions within our program, which is a care coordinator and a family support counselor. And care coordinators are the clinician role for the program. They're a point person to support the caregivers, to support other adult professionals on the team. Family support counselors are kind of the primary assignment for the youth. We're meeting with youth minimum 1 time per week in the community, sometimes 5 times per week in the community, just really based off of the needs. And then likewise, the care coordinators are meeting with those caregivers at least once a week, making sure that they have all their needs met. We provide case management services. Kids within our San Francisco program are eligible for both individual therapy and family therapy. So we'll assign a clinician for that if there's a need for that. It's not already existing and within place. And they can also get psychiatry and med management through our program as well. So we have a psychiatrist that we work with internally at Edgewood that provides that service for them. So it really is literally wrapping a kid. We'll meet them wherever they need to be met. That could be in school, Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, vocational help for some of the older kids, housing, parks. There's really no limit to kind of the flexibility that we're willing to provide in order to kind of meet their needs in a way that works for them.
I don't think anybody could have said it better, so I'm glad you led us. We usually spend about half an hour in the San Mateo region really orienting families well to what Zach just brilliantly did in just a couple of minutes, so I appreciate that. I would highlight a couple of the differences is that I think the time frame is slightly different in San Mateo County is in San Francisco County for the wraparound programming. We tend to be a longer term program, and we tend to see clients, sometimes we've seen clients for 3 or 4 years in the Turning Point CY program. And then many of those clients have also continued to need services into their transitional age youth phase from 18 to 25. So we have transitioned them at times into that TAE programming, which is very similar to the child and youth programming that we offer in San Mateo. So we have perhaps a little bit of a lengthier relationship with some of our families and clients. Zach also kind of mentioned some of the service providers that they have in San Francisco. Our service package is a little bit different. Our core team in San Mateo County consists of a clinician for every youth and family, a care coordinator who for us would be our case manager and really our team lead. We have a family partner assigned to every team, which is a person with lived experience that has, in this case, parented or been the grandparent and primary caretaker for a child or youth with major mental health issues, that has also interacted with some of our referring agencies, child welfare, juvenile probation, county mental health clinics, We have additional services such as behavior coaching, crisis support workers, our fantastic facilitators, and I see the supervisor is in this meeting today. They're a wonderful group, crisis response workers, and of course, psychiatry, as Zach mentioned.
So Zach and Billy, how has the pandemic affected how you've been able to deliver these services?
I'll go ahead and go. I think greatly. You know, I will say, I guess to start, that given the level of intensity of our clients and the service itself, I feel like we have kind of jumped back to the norm quicker than perhaps other programs that may be less intensive as far as the needs go. But in the beginning of all this, it was, you know, we shifted to telehealth you know, as you can imagine, for some of the families that we serve, that might be more accessible of a way to get treatment than for other families that we serve. And, you know, we've, you know, particularly with our teens and some of the younger kids, you know, our kind of standard is that we'd maybe go pick up a kid from school and then hang out with them for 2 hours in the community and have this therapeutic session. And between Zoom fatigue for the kids doing school online and then having to get on this meeting and that meeting on Zoom, you know, we were seeing maybe a tolerance level of like 30 minutes compared to the previous 2 hours. So then we were, you know, instead of, if that was once a week for 2 hours, then maybe we were shifting to like multiple sessions a week, but for shorter duration of 20 or 30 minutes. And yeah, so it was an adjustment, and it was an adjustment for our teams. I mean, our teams loved the community work, right? They loved to be face-to-face and out there with the clients, spending that time with them. And I think, you know, one of the beautiful things about WRAP services and non-pandemic situation is that you really get a holistic view of a family. You're in that family's home, you're in that family's community. And so I feel like, you know, myself and the team a little bit, when you were just, I'm on a screen and you're on a screen, it just felt like we weren't always getting the full picture like what we would otherwise. So it was a big impact. At this point, we are seeing, I believe, all of our clients, if not the majority of our clients, in person at this point. And so it's been a nice transition back. All the teams really happy. And we've had staff start within the pandemic and never did in-person visits, and then all of a sudden are having a chance to do in-person visits and coming back and just saying how invigorating it is and how, you know, happy they are to be able to provide that in-person support. So.
Yeah, I would very much align with what Zach was just saying in terms of how investment has been incredible. But I really feel like with the new technology that Edgewood has rolled out, that leadership has been incredibly supportive. We have many staff members as well in the unit that I supervise that I've never met in person. But I think with the support of Edgewood at large, our director and leadership, we've been able to roll out really effective policies and procedures, telehealth, equipment needs, and really supported staff in doing everything that they can to engage well with the families. But what we have seen is at the beginning, particularly, it was quite problematic for many of our families to engage. We work with families with very few resources. And so what we were seeing in some of our more troubling cases was with that lack of supervision, lack of contact with school staff, mental health providers, the wraparound team, that some youth were getting into a whole lot of new challenge, and parents were incredibly struggling with how to support their children. Very early on, we had a particular young man that, without going into too much detail, his substance abuse increased, criminal behavior increased, and really to keep him safe, his father was pleading to place him in residential. And that's, you know, some of the experience that our families have had, that they are working, and all of those other people involved in their community were limited in their ability to support. So we saw a lot of kids really struggling.
I'm interested in, it sounds like wrap services have a limited period of time. I think I heard 18 months was the longest period of time a young person could be in wrap services. And knowing Edgewood well, I know that that would never be the end for you. So just wonder, maybe if you could speak a little bit about, when do you start planning, and how do you start planning for the end of that time when the youth is with or within wrap services, and how do you set it up so that they land well when they leave wrap services, and are there other providers that you use when they at the end of those 18 months?
Yeah. So we start talking to families about transition out of services from the day of intake. As mentioned, the big piece for us is sustainability and stability within their family unit and their natural support unit. So we're working the whole time to build up natural supports. Through the case management, we're getting them tied to resources in the community so that they can kind of have a broader, range of supports that they can rely on. And the way that we see wrap services divided up is kind of like the engagement phase, action phase, and transition phase. So especially during that transition phase at the end, and kind of, you could almost, for us, envision that as a 6-month breakup, but it doesn't, we're a little bit more fluid than that. But we're definitely planning well in advance for the transition off of working with a family and a youth. So in that process, a lot of times we'll make referrals internally to our own programs, whether it be TBS, Therapeutic Behavior Services, whether it be our outpatient therapy services. We've handed off many of clients to braid mentorship into where they can continue with some mentors in the community. So it's really kind of based, again, it's so individualized, so it's really just kind of based off of the needs. And then, we hold collaboration with those professionals, adult professionals or teams that kind of step in once we step out. So there's always kind of an open door policy for people to circle back and say, hey, we're trying to, put together this part of the puzzle. Can you help us make sense of this after your time spent with this youth and family? So yeah, I think that's.
Mm-hmm. Just to add everything that Zach did say, I think the whole process, and this is what I love about Wraparound, is the whole process is about building up not only a youth, but a family, and working towards that graduation and them not needing us from the very beginning. As Zach said, everything is about teaching skills, giving practical tools. The types of tools that we use in Wraparound, we hope to teach families to take and use independently from us. The safety plans that we do, the way that we think about challenges and problems, and even teaching people how to think about their problems in new ways, coming up with objectives and individualized family goals. The whole essence of WRAP is really around building from a strengths-based, and families really can benefit from that in such an enormous way, to really see their children and see each other differently at the end of the process. We get that probably as the most consistent feedback is they really see the positives first before we start talking about the things that we want to change or adapt. So there's so many elements of our process, including the family conference, that we really hope people learn from us and that they take and apply long after we're gone. That is really the intention.
Thank you. So you both talked about how things have already mostly started to return to the way you delivered services. pre-pandemic, but as we emerge from this, just wondering if there are things that you've learned from this time and ways that we can think innovatively about offering support services post-pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a little bit of a twofold process, right? Because I think for the families that do have accessibility, providing family therapy over Zoom, some of our families are very interested in continuing a hybrid model of something like that. I think, we're always kind of doing a dance of like, how do we be supportive without being a burden? And I think, that's a great example of, okay, click, we're on, click, we're off, dinner's made, we can go about our evening. We're not, I think that's something that's worked really quite well. And I've been really inspired by the team as far as interventions that they've been able to use, over Zoom, that they found really effective that maybe they wouldn't have discovered or explored prior to this due to the in-person visits. And so I do see us continuing a hybrid model of sorts in ways that work for the family. And like I said, maybe even takes some of the burden of the service off of them a little bit as far as scheduling and time and everything. And then, yeah, I think just seeing our kids in different ways, right? Like, I mean, I think this past year has been really difficult for absolutely everyone, let alone those that might have had challenges prior pandemic. I think this time has allowed us to connect with our clients and families in a way that sometimes has actually been more transparent, just because I think, some of the vulnerability of how deep maybe the struggle has really allowed people to kind of open up. And, the connection through that process has become pretty strong with the teams.
I think Zach said it very well. Boy, following you, Zach, is very difficult. But I think you said that quite well. Although we've seen a lot of challenges with the addition of telehealth, for many of our youth and families, it's created so many opportunities. Many of our youth this year have actually found a lot less stress due to the anxiety of going to school, the anxiety of kind of navigating social relationships. For some of our youth, leaving the home and the stressors associated with that. So what we have seen is telehealth has revealed some innovative ways that we can engage with families. We can partner more with some of our natural supports. So we are seeing more family members, aunts and uncles, community members that are invested in the children participating in family conferencing at times. So it's created some unique kind of amazing outcomes in some ways, and has actually propelled some of our youth toward graduation, which they might not have otherwise this year.
I definitely agree. As I see Jonathan Weinstock on here, who's a facilitator for our monthly CFTs, the attendance to our monthly CFT, Child and Family Team meetings, which is kind of an agenda planning process for our families, the attendance has been skyrocketing through access over Zoom. So I was actually just talking to our supervisor the other day about can we get a video projector rather than phoning somebody in for a meeting, allowing somebody to be on screen for a meeting, and just increasing that attendance has been definitely a positive of the past year.
Thank you both for taking time this afternoon to answer our questions, and hope that they were useful questions for others. And I, like you, am hopeful that the innovation, the creativity of so many people over the last year will carry us forward into new and exciting places, and continue to offer services that we've all committed to in our work and in our lives. And I just appreciate your time. And Joelle's going to break us out into breakout rooms where we'll have a chance to answer and discuss some questions in smaller groups. But before we do, Joelle, I just wonder if I could just say one thing, and that is that, as Zach indicated, we at Braid Mission receive a lot of referrals from Edgewood, and I just wanted to give a shout out, I guess, or to thank Edgewood for being such a fantastic partner, and that care that I spoke of, what happens at the end of the 18 months time that you have wrap services, what we've experienced with Edgewood is that kind of never ends, that care and that concern for the family and for the young person, that when we at Braid receive a referral for our mentoring services and we put a mentor team with a young person, our mentors are all volunteers, mostly out of the tech industry, mostly young and in the tech industry, and don't have the experience of the training. And so when they encounter issues that they don't know how to deal with, whether that be an eating disorder or suicidal ideation, whatever the issue, we have found that we can continue to go back to Edgewood, even though there's no contract or obligation on the part of Edgewood. And we find that we always get help from someone who's takes time to sit with either Rebecca or myself or our team facilitators or the mentors themselves and help coach them into how they can be better mentors for that young person. So I just wanted to thank you for the love and the care and your continued interest in outcomes for these young people, even when they leave official services. So thank you, Edgewood. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Billy. Joelle, I'm going to hand it over to you.